Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya. Lord Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Together, please. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Gautamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, goddess of learning, and unto Srimad Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Preshabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance to classes on Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised for transcendental songs, is established. Right, we're reading this morning from chapter 15 of the third canto. Who can remember the name of this chapter from Friday's class? Don't show me. No. What's about to happen? What was happening in our last exciting installment? The Mars, yes. Mars were entering. Where did they want to go? And what was the chapter about? Right. It's called the description of the kingdom of God. So they're seeing everything, and we are seeing through their eyes. So, all right, this is text number 37 through 50 today. So, Friday, could you start us reading, please?
At that very moment, the Lord, who is called Padmanabha, because of the lotus grown from his navel, and who is the delight of the righteous, learned about the insult offered by his own servants to the saints. Accompanied by his spouse, the goddess of fortune, he went to the spot on those very feet sought for by recluses and great sages.
The sages headed by Sanaka Rishi saw that the Supreme Personality God of Vishnu, who was formerly visible only within their hearts in ecstatic trance, had now actually become visible to their eyes. As he came forward, accompanied by his own associates, bearing all paraphernalia, such as an umbrella and a chamara fan, the white bunches of hair moved very gently, like two swans, and due to their favorable breeze, the poles garlanding the umbrella also moved, like drops of nectar falling from the white full moon, or ice melting due to a gust of wind.
The Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction, and his affectionate smiling and glancing touch the core of the heart. The Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, and his broad chest is the resting place of the goddess of fortune, who glorifies the entire spiritual world, the summit of all heavenly planets. Thus it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty and good fortune of the spiritual world.
Isn't this nice? You think about like the biblical description of heaven. Very little is given, but here it's like details, right? So much detail.
Literally just read it last night. It's in Ezekiel 1.
Yeah.
And he has a vision of the Lord who comes down.
Yeah.
And it's very open book. It's Ezekiel first chapter.
All right. Well, so there's a little bit, but this is so much more ornate, no? Anyway, please go ahead. Joe.
He was adorned with a girdle that shone brightly on the yellow cloth covering his large hips, and he wore a garland of fresh flowers, which was distinguished by honeybees. His lovely wrists were graced with bracelets, and he rested on one of his hands on the shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, and twirled a lotus with another hand.
His countenance was distinguished by cheeks that enhanced the beauty of his alligator-shaped pendants, which outshone lightning. His nose was prominent, and his head was covered with a gem-studded crown. A charming necklace hung between his stout arms, and his neck was adorned with the gem known by the name Kostula.
The exquisite beauty of Narayan, being many times magnified by the intelligence of his devotees, was so attractive that it defeated the pride of the goddess of fortune in being the most beautiful. My dear demigods, the Lord, who thus manifested himself is worshipable by me, by Lord Shiva, and by all of you. The sages regard him with unsated eyes, and joyously bow their heads at his lotus feet.
When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulasi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostrils of those sages, they experienced a change both in body and in mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding.
The Lord's beautiful face appeared to them like the inside of a blue lotus, and the Lord's smile appeared to be a blossoming jasmine flower. After seeing the face of the Lord, the sages were fully satisfied, and when they wanted to see him further, they looked upon the nails of his lotus feet, which resembled rubies. Thus, they viewed the Lord's transcendental body again and again, and so they finally achieved meditation on the Lord's personal feature.
This is the form of the Lord, which is meditated upon by the followers of the yoga process, and it is pleasing to the yogis in meditation. It is not imaginary, but factual, as proved by great yogis. The Lord is full in 8 kinds of achievement. But for others, these achievements are not possible in full.
The Kumara said, "Our dear Lord, you are not manifested to rascals, even though you are seated within the heart of everyone. But as far as we are concerned, we see you face to face, although you are unlimited. The statements we have heard about you from our father, Brahma, through the ears have now been actually realized by your kind appearance."
We know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, who manifests his transcendental form in the uncontaminated mode of pure goodness. This transcendental eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy, through unflinching devotional service, by great sages whose hearts have been purified in the devotional way.
Persons who are not very expert and most intelligent in understanding things as they engage in hearing narrations of the auspicious activities and pastimes of the Lord, which are worth chanting and worth hearing. Such persons do not care even for the highest material benediction, namely liberation. To say nothing of other less important benediction like the material happiness of the heavenly kingdom.
Lord, we pray that you let us be born in any hellish condition of life, just as long as our hearts and minds are always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. Our words are made beautiful by speaking of your activities, just as tulsi leaves are beautified when offered unto your lotus feet, and as long as our ears are always filled with the chanting of your transcendental qualities.
O Lord, we therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your eternal form as the personality of Godhead, which you have so kindly manifested before us. Your supreme, eternal form cannot be seen by unfortunate, less intelligent persons, but we are so much satisfied in our mind and vision to see it.
Okay, and thus in the Bhaktivedanta translations to the 15th chapter, up to verse 39. Okay. This is Lord Brahma speaking, of course, describing demigods are all upset by the pregnancy of Diti, and so Lord Brahma is trying to pacify them. He's telling them this story about the four Kumars, which is the background of how Diti came to be impregnated with this horrible demon Hiranyaksha. So this is from a Samhita meter here. Krishna prasada sumukam spriya prihaniya dhamma. Krishna prasada sumukam prihaniya dhamma. Snehava kalaya vidisam prashantam. Snehava kalaya vidisam prashantam. Shyame pita varasi shobhitaya shriyasvas. Shyame pita varasi shobhitaya shriyasvas. Sudamanim subhagayantam ivatmadishyam. Sudamanim subhagayantam. Krishna prasada sumukam sprihaniya dhamma. Krishna prasada sumukam sprihaniya dhamma. Snehava kalaya hridisam prashantam. Snehava kalaya hridisam prashantam. Shyame tavarasi shobhitaya sriya swas. Sudamanim subhagayantam ivatmadishyam. Okay. Please, Jeff. Krishna prasada sukam srihaniya dhamma. Snehava kalaya samskrishantam. Shyame pita varasi shobhitaya shriyasvas. Sudamanim subhagayantam ivatmadishyam. Krishna prasada sukam srihaniya dhamma. Snehava kalaya samskrishantam. Shyame pita varasi shobhitaya shriyasvas. Sudamanim subhagayantam ivatmadishyam. Anyone else? Okay. Sing them together, please. Krishna prasada, blessed everyone. Sumukam, auspicious face. Spritya, desirable. Shelter. Sneha, affection. Avaloka, looking upon. Kalaya, by expansion. Priti, within the heart. Samprishantam, touching. Shame, unto the Lord, blackish color. Prital, rod. Urasi, chest. Shobhitaya, being decorated. Shriya, goddess of fortune. Swa, heavenly planets. Shuda, manim, summit. Subhagayantam, spreading good fortune. Eva, light. Atma, the supreme personality of Godhead. And Vishnam, abode. Translation together. The Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction, and his affectionate smiling and glancing touch the core of the heart. The Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, and his broad chest is the residing place of the goddess of fortune, who glorifies the entire spiritual world. of all heavenly planets. Thus it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty, good fortune of the spiritual world. Okay. Would like to read the first paragraph? Volunteers?
When the Lord came, he was pleased with everyone. Therefore it is stated here, Krishna Prasada Sukhakam, pardon me, the Lord knew that even the offensive doormen were his pure devotees, although by chance they committed an offense at the feet of the other devotees. To commit offense against a devotee is very dangerous in devotional service. Lord Chaitanya therefore said that an offense to a devotee is just like a mad elephant running loose. When a mad elephant enters a garden, he tramples the plants. Similarly, an offense to the feet of a pure devotee murders one's position in devotional service. On the part of the Lord, was no offended mood because he does not accept any offense created by his sincere devotee. But a devotee should be very cautious of committing offenses at the feet of another devotee. The Lord, being equal to all, and being especially inclined to his devotee, looked as mercifully at the offenders as at the offended. This attitude of the Lord was due to his unlimited quality of transcendental qualities.
Unlimited
quantities, thank you. His cheerful attitude towards the devotees was so pleasing and heart-touching that his very smile was attractive for them. That attraction was glorious not only for all the higher planets of this material world, but beyond for the spiritual world also. Generally, a human being has no idea what the constitutional position is in the higher material planets, which are far better constituted in regard to all paraphernalia. Yet in Vaikuntha planet it is pleasing and so celestial that it is compared to the middle jewel or locket in a necklace of jewels.
Okay, let's stop there for a moment. We'll go back to the topic here, which is about offenses to devotees. So the Vedic cosmic cycle has 4 phases: the material creation, the Satya Yuga, which is an age of goodness; Treta Yuga, which is an age of goodness mixed with some passion; Purpura Yuga, which is an age of goodness, passion, and ignorance; and then finally Kali Yuga, which is almost all ignorance and some passion. So it said in the Satya Yuga, there were no demons on this planet. There were demons on other planets. Demon means somebody who's just an utter materialist. So there are no demons in Satya Yuga. Everyone was very much in the mode of goodness. In the Treta Yuga, there were demons on this planet. In the Purpura Yuga, there were demons in your family. And in Kali Yuga, there's demons in each one of us. So chapter 16 of the Gita talks about this divided nature, the divine and demoniac side. You have experience? Do you have these have little cartoons of devil on this side, angel on this side? Do this, no, do this. So we have the proclivities to go either way, divine or the demoniac. So anyone remember from the Gita or from your own reading, what are some of the divine qualities? What are some of the qualities that are the better angels of our nature, as Lincoln said? Selflessness, let's shout them out. Truthfulness, patience, temperance, humility, yes, passion, service, mood, self-control, cleanliness. These are the divine qualities. And at the beginning of this chapter 16, the divine and demonic nature of Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, don't worry, Arjuna, you are endowed with these divine qualities. But here, just for your reference, are the qualities of the demoniac side. So what are some of those qualities? Anger, envy, jealousy. Oh. Okay, what was this? Offenses to the devotee? Other demonic qualities? Lust, pride, mixing religion or irreligion, mistaking. Yes. Huh? What? Lazy. Yeah. Okay, that's plenty. I mean, arrogance, pride, deceit, anger, lust. So the demonic side of us is that which compels us to do things very selfishly. All I want is what I want. I don't care how it affects anybody else. That's the demoniac side. The influence of the demoniac side does cause us to commit offenses in the association of devotees. You know, it's such a rare thing. I remember in my pre-Krishna conscious days just wanting to be with spiritually minded people. I felt like a complete outcast in society. I couldn't connect with anybody. And I went to visit like college, see about going to college, and talk to the teachers and the students. And I just said, these people don't have what I'm looking for. So it's such a blessing to have association of spiritually minded people. What are spiritually minded people? People who value these divine qualities, people who recognize the demonic qualities and want to improve themselves and shed them. Right? So people like that are extraordinarily rare. Gita Krishna says there, out of thousands of people, hardly one will even be interested in spirituality. But to speak of understanding spirituality, which is even more rare. So the opportunity to associate with devotees is very special. But the danger is there that if we take it for granted, then we make offenses. So Krishna is very forgiving, as we read here. He looks on the offender and the offended equally. And he appreciates them both. That's because Krishna is the reservoir, as we read, of all divine qualities. So even if somebody is rude to him, even if somebody is offensive to him, he doesn't hate them. He doesn't respond. We all remember the story of Bhrigu Muni. Bhrigu was this sage who was tasked by his fellow sages, find out who is the supreme, Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva. And so he went out to Lord Shiva, or to Lord Brahma, who was his father. And when Rama came in the room, Bhrigu, who was his son, did not stand up and show respect. It's said that if you don't stand up when a superior enters the room, then you are dooming yourself to death. So it's always advisable in a culture society. When a superior comes in, you stand up. But Bhrigu, testing him, didn't stand up. So Brahma became very angry. What is this insolent, arrogant behavior of yours? You're no son of mine. And he was about to kill him when his wife stopped him. So Bhrigu apologized and left. Then he went to see Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, of course, is the deity of the ghosts, the hobgoblins. And so he was there, covered with ashes from the crematorium, in his hair and his body, a garland of skulls around his neck. And Bhrigu came to him and started criticizing him. He was his brother. He said, look at you, the way you're dressed, the way you appear. Look at the people you hang out with, all these spooky characters. And Shiva became so angry, he was about to kill him when Parvati, his wife, calmed him down. Oh, no, just chill out. So Bhrigu apologized. Then he went to Lord Vishnu. And he, having committed the offense of the mind to Brahma and the offense of speech to Shiva, he committed the corporeal offense of the body to Vishnu. So he went to Vishnu, who was lying, having his feet massaged by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. And he kicked Vishnu in the chest. And so Vishnu said, my dear Bhrigu, your foot is so soft and my chest is so hard. Did my chest hurt your foot? He did not become at all disturbed. So then Bhrigu understood that even when offended, Lord Vishnu was not upset. Therefore, he must be the supreme. And he reported this back to the sages. So Vishnu is not upset even if we offend him. But if we offend his devotee, then he becomes upset. So, there was a sage named Durvasa Muni who was going to be fed by the great king Ambarish. So Ambarish Maharaj had been fasting for 40 days. And it was just time, the auspicious moment was coming to break his fast, just when Durvasa came. So Durvasa said, I'm going to bathe and then I'll come and take prasad. So then Ambarish said to his ministers, what should I do? It's time for me to break my fast, but I can't eat before I feed my guest. And so they advised him, drink some water, just drink some water. That breaks the fast and doesn't break the fast. So he drank the water, but Durvasa, with his yogic powers, understood that the king had taken some water, and so he was so upset, he took a hair from his head, threw it on the ground, and turned into this big fiery beast who went chasing after Ambarish Maharaj. So Ambarish Maharaj was not even slightly disturbed with this. Krishna's will, I will die. But Krishna was not having any of it, and he removed this demon with his chakra. But then that chakra started chasing Durvasa throughout the universe, because he was so upset with Durvasa for offending his devotee. So Durvasa, with his powerful mystic abilities, ran here and ran there. He ran to the heavenly planets, ran to the hellish planets. Everywhere he went, the chakra was following him. And finally, he went to the abode of Vishnu and said, please withdraw this chakra. And Vishnu said, if you want relief, you have to get the blessings of my devotee. So he would not personally remove this danger. So then Durvasa went to Ambarish, begged his forgiveness. Ambarish was not even slightly disturbed. He said, of course I forgive you. And then the chakra backed off. So Krishna will easily forgive our offenses, but he will not easily forgive the offenses against his devotee. Now, the problem is, we have this blessing of living with devotees. We understand philosophically, we don't want to make offenses. But then how do we deal with the devotees? The devotees are not ordinary people. Kick them in the chest. Okay. Everyone can try this on Adi Sham. We will test your forgiveness. See, we cannot live walking on eggshells, right? Oh yeah, I don't want to offend devotees. And devotees horrible. My basis. We just when we're walking on eggshells, what kind of relationship is that characteristic of? Fear, which is generally what, like an abusive relationship, right? In an abusive relationship, we don't want to offend, we don't want to upset the other person. So we can't really express ourselves. We just don't want to upset the other person. But nobody can live like that. So what is the alternative to trying to avoid offending the devotee? Yes. Yes, and be very much in the mood. Let me please the devotees. Let me serve the devotees. This is such a beautiful jujitsu on our mind, because it takes us away from the self-centered mentality, I don't want to make a mistake, to let me please others. And this is the difference between the divine and the demoniac, ultimately. The demoniac is very self-concerned. What's in it for me? With them, right? What's in it for me? The divine mentality is, how can I serve? How can I please this person? This is what creates the Vaikuntha atmosphere, where everybody's in the mood of serving. Everybody's in the mood of serving. Then, what is the anxiety? I want to serve you. You want to serve me. The only question is who gets to serve each other better. Now, devotees have problems with this sometimes, like if two devotees converge on the door at the same moment. Oh, Prabhu, please go ahead. No, Prabhu, please go. No, Prabhu, I insist. You please. Prabhu. So, right, the one who's actually humble will immediately go when he's told to go. You go, oh, okay. You're telling me you're my Prabhu. You tell me to go, I'm going. So demoniac side is transcended in the mood of service. That's our shelter. Service is our shelter. Service allows us to engage our passionate nature in constructive ways. Service allows us to express love even if we don't feel love, overwhelming love in our hearts. And service, just as Prabhupada turns this beautiful phrase, it is the most congenial form of intimacy. The most congenial form of intimacy. Congenial means it is sweet, it is easy, there's no negative ramifications, it is just, it's sustainable, it's ongoing, and it's beautiful. So service is that dharma of the soul. Right? So devotional service aimed to Krishna is the Sanatan Dharma, the eternal Dharma that actually brings us pleasure on and on. And service to the devotees is that highest form of service. Why? Because that pleases Krishna. Shan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Sevana. The first canto, second chapter, Sutta Goswami says that service done to the devotees is it is real service, it is true service, it is the Shan Mahat Sevaya. To serve them is the ultimate activity for the human being. So in the service mood, we can easily avoid offenses. But if by chance we make an offense, what do? What? You apologize. Yeah, I'm sorry you're offended. How do we apologize if we do make offenses? What does a genuine apology contain? Yep, and request change. What's the first thing we have to do, though, if we want to? Yeah, recognize, admit, yeah. Take responsibility. I did this wrong. Yeah. I would say, Yep, yep. That's the first step. And then, what is helpful? What is that? Showing remorse. And how is remorse expressed? We'll get to that. Before that, well, how is it expressed? Like, what is really meaningful? It's like describing how what I have done wrong has hurt you. I recognize that by my action, I have put you in anxiety, I've put you in distress, I've hurt your feelings. That was not my intention. And so then, rectification. How can I make it up? What can I do to make it right? So recognition, remorse, and recognition. It's simple. This is actually an apology. If we do make offenses, and we inevitably will make offenses, just living with other people, you can't help it. But Prabhupada writes in the Nectar Devotion that one should learn how to just overlook the small offenses, the minor offenses of others. If somebody, on the other hand, is offending another devotee, then we have to speak up. But if somebody has stepped on our toe or stepped on our ego, the quality of the demoniac side is harshness. It's like, you hurt me. Right? That angry, bitter, loud response. Sometimes we're raised in families that are like this, right? Certain ethnicities, particularly, are known for their vibrant discussions at the dinner table. Others are a little more restrained. Repressive is probably a better word. So harsh or repressed? Is there an alternative? Anyway, these family experiences are part of our karma, and they bring us to certain habits of behavior that are part of our conditioning and need to be addressed. So again, what is the happy medium? It's service. The family, in the family environment, parents have expectations for their children. And the children are often disappointments to their parents. And the parents can respond with anger and with harshness, or if the parents want to curtail some dangerous activity on the part of their children, then the children can respond harshly because that's what they learned. Right? So there's all this tension and bitterness going back and forth, and these are your loved ones. But we see that even Lord Vishnu is getting in this conflict, not conflict per se, but his dear devotees, Jai and Vijay, are going to the material world to be demons and fight him. So we can understand that who are you going to fight with if not your loved ones? Who are you going to fight with if not your loved ones? Think about your family for a moment. So even Lord Vishnu is fighting with his loved ones, his beloved Jai and Vijay. So the demoniac side becomes relieved by experiencing the higher taste of loving relationships with devotees. That's the beauty of satsanga. It is a new realm of relationship experience for most people. And even people who have like no interest in Krishna consciousness can recognize there's something weird about the devotees. Many things weird, but one of them is that they seem to get along relatively well. Another one is that they seem to enjoy their service, serving prasadam or distributing a book or inviting someone. It seems to be done out of joy rather than how you might get like French fries at McDonald's or something. And that is very mysterious to people who have not experienced the inner realm, the sanctum sanctorum of devotee sangha. It's a beautiful thing. It's amazing. It's incredible. And people from very different backgrounds can come together in this common environment of wanting to serve Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful example of a group of people standing around the edge of a lake. If everyone throws the rock in randomly, then the lake becomes chaotic, the surface. But if everyone throws the rock in the same place, then a beautiful set of concentric circles emanate from that point. So when human beings are fixed on wanting to serve God, there is a beautiful harmony that naturally arises. It is automatic. It is simple. It is indigenous to our natures to want to live in harmony with each other. But that's only possible when we're on the divine side and not the demoniac side. Because again, the demoniac side, it's all about me. I'm a victim. I'm the best. What's that? I'm the best victim. There's never been a victim as in the history of. No one's more of a victim. Nobody knows. Anyway, these are the habits. Instead of being absorbed in our own suffering, which is the tendency in the demoniac nature, we become absorbed in what's called paradukha dukhi, the sufferings of other people. We want to bring them relief. We want to bring them grace. We want to bring them support. Somebody who's in that mood has no problems. No problems, because the problems of others occupy their mind. It's a beautiful life in spiritual consciousness. All right, any thoughts? Any other comments on this? Adisham Prabhu? Pass the mic.
Thank you. I have two quick comments. First one on the demonic and divine nature and an apology. The first one is Shachanam Sai Maharaj. He said that when Bhakti Maharaj left his body, he came in his dream. And he said to Maharaj, he said, "There's two dogs are fighting in your heart." He said, "Which one will win?" He's like, "I don't know, Maharaj." "No, you have to think, which dog will win?" He said, "Maharaj, I do not know, you please tell." He said, "The dog that you feed."
The dog that you feed will win.
So there's this two sides, and he connected it with his demoniac and divine natures. And one in the apology, Bhakti Maharaj says that there's 3 steps of apology. He says, if you first approach the person, you express, my actions hurt you in that way. I realized it, all of that. The second one, if the person still doesn't want to accept your apology, they are very angry, you said you can approach the person who is close to that person and please ask him, please plead on my behalf. And he said, if it still doesn't work, then you go to the deity and pray.
Then you go
to the deities and you pray.
To the deities and pray. That's very good. That's all we can do. We do what we do. Sometimes people can forgive. Sometimes they can't. But if they can't forgive an honest apology, then we know this is somebody they're going to need time to process it. So all we can do is realize we've done what we can. And that allows us to go forward. On this other point, which dog you feed, that's a really nice analogy, isn't it? How do we feed the demonic dog? What are some things that feed the demonic dog? What? Gossiping, yeah. Being critical of others. What else?
Justify.
Yeah, rationalizing. He had no right to be mad. Yeah. Right, what else? Denial. Lamenting, yeah. Blaming, yeah. How about gossiping, yeah. How about self-pity? Another one.
Ignore.
Yeah, denial, repression, yeah, all these things, yeah.
Savoring critical.
Yes. Yeah, like fine wine.
It's like drink acid poison.
Yes, right. I'll get even with him. Okay, how about feeding the divine dog? What feeds the divine dog? Service. Forgiveness. Appreciation. Glorifying who? The other person. Okay. And any other glorification? Yeah, I was waiting for that. Somebody here to chanting feeds the divine dog. Finding devotees who look at the good in others. Yes, that's, and it's amazing sometimes, people who can see the good where we can't see it. And this is what has made our Sangha possible, because Prabhupada saw this good in very questionable characters and brought out these amazing devotees. All right, any other comments? Thank you, Anisha. Yes.
Yes. So on the last R of rectifying, we ask, right, the person that we have offended, what can I do? What can I do to make it up? Often with devotees, they're like, oh no, nothing, it's okay, this and that, you know.
Doesn't that make you mad?
Yeah, it does. Actually, like, I'm trying to make up for something I did, you know, give me a chance. Yeah. Or sometimes they'd say, I don't know, you know, because, you know, maybe they feel like they don't deserve anything, you know, like, yeah, you messed up and it's okay, you know, it's all right. So then what do you recommend in that space?
Prasadam can be very helpful. Everyone appreciates something, some favorite food, make arrangements for them. Something that genuinely shows some time and care. You know, buying a special book for them, or a piece of clothing, or some flowers, or deity picture, or something. Just some gift that's from the heart, not something that you have extra of. Krishna lunch tickets. Here, Prabhu. Right. So thoughtful gift. That's the best answer. Anyone else want to address that? You say, I'm sorry, and the person says, what can I do? Being there's a friend calling, how are you doing?
And whatever was the mistake.
it takes time. It takes time. But showing, in other words, sincere desire to improve the relationship. Okay, anything else? Okay.
Often in situations that we have to apologize, offenses were on both sides. But I think it's really important to just focus on your own side of the street and still show up and apologize for that, even if they're not acknowledging the ways that they hurt you. Because often offensive situations, they're messy.
Yeah.
And very, very rarely is it clean one side and the other is like perfect. So
yeah, that back and forth, that's the defending propensity. You hurt me, I hurt you. You insult me, I insult you. And that Prabhupada writes is even more strong than the mating propensity. And defending is often not the physical, it's the ego that wants. So how do we respond then if somebody does something that upsets us? What is the best way to respond?
I try to recognize the divinity in them. So they're trying to teach me something. If I'm offended, it's something that I have to work through. Because it might be very silly. I might be acting silly or like, how dare you offend me? I'm pure. The audacity of these people too. So it's usually if I'm offended, I'm being silly. So that I recognize it as an opportunity to work through my own things. And if it's serious, I'll just leave the situation, meditate on it, something to digest in a space that's not like, hey, I'm not feeling this right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for a walk. And Jonathan would say this too, like walk. We talk about that, just removing yourself from the situation. Go for the walk, he would say.
Really important. Just to be able to not respond is at least the entry level of tolerance, forgiveness of the divine side. Just not respond. Just give ourselves time to process without going back, without hitting back. Yeah. Okay. One other thing in this regard is that if we make our happiness dependent on what somebody else does, like you've hurt me and I'm not going to be happy again until you correct it. What are we doing? Yeah, we're empowering that person over our happiness. I'm going to be unhappy until you rectify this. What does the other person say? Well, good. Glad to hear that. So, yeah, we in so many situations in life, if the actions of others determine what we do, then we have disempowered ourselves. So we can empower ourselves at least by not reacting. Okay, let me process that. Let me take some time. I'll get back to you about that. But yes, microphone.
What's really beautiful is that Krishna is so careful of wanting to help each one of us make the progress that we need, that he always puts us in connection with the people that we most need to be in connection with. But that goes not just the way of receiving benefit from them, but actually the things that come up that we trigger each other. This is designed by him. It's a perfect school. And if we can see the people around us as being the best teachers that we have, especially those that, trigger us the most.
Yeah,
this other person is arranged perfectly by the Lord's mercy so that I can look at myself in a mirror and see what's in my heart.
That's right. Sometimes you even marry that person. Right. So Krishna is especially merciful. Actually, this is a good point because Prabhupada says that he said to us, his disciples, I see you all as representatives of my Guru Maharaj. Very unqualified young men and women, but that was because he saw Krishna has sent me these people. So Krishna's, and when you stay in the ashram, Krishna is putting you in touch with all kinds of, as Prabhupada put it, agents of your karma.
And if you can recognize that, really recognize it in the other person, that this person has been arranged by Krishna for me to be able to see myself as in a mirror and make corrections of my own character and heart, then you can learn to actually really appreciate that other person.
Wow.
Because they're participating in your advancement in a very real way.
That is a very high realization, Rasika. Thank you. I pray to come to that point. All right, with that, we'll stop. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ignorance, fought with lust in every sense, throw us in the sea of death and birth. Of the senses, lusty tongues rarely can be overcome. While the soul is struggling on this earth, Krishna is so merciful, he helps us regain control. Leaving them thence after he has gone, let us take what he has left, calling loudly, feeling blessed. Radha Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,